the last few years, Roger Goodell has cracked down on arrests and criminal issues involving NFL players. We have seen an increase in criminal activity over the last few years. Is there any connection to why there's an increase in this topic? The NFL Goal Line starts right now with Nick Rice and Andrew Goldstein. Hello, guys, and welcome inside another edition of NFL Goal Line Live. It's episode number 2 of this new NFL season. We are nearing training camps around the National Football League. Today, there was just a release on the updated training camp schedules. When will we see your team be able to put full pads on and start preparing for the NFL season? We'll get through the full schedule in just a little bit, but we do have somewhat of a packed show today. We also have a man joining us in a few minutes, James McDaniels, along with anyone else who would be willing to join us. The phone number is 951-515-4552. This is Nick Rice alongside my partner in crime, Andrew Goldstein, and we've had a jam-packed week so far, including the topic of the month, to say the least, involving Patriots former tight end Aaron Hernandez, now under arrest for his alleged murder of Odin Lloyd, the 27-year-old who happened to be in the same car as him, along with a few other friends. And just some foolish activity with the tight end ended in a terrible fashion for him. The Patriots, fortunately enough, they were put in this situation. You draft him late, but when you have a guy with this kind of skill set, it's almost in a sense, it's why not take a shot? You're a terrific football team, a great talent, and a very well-run organization. You've been that way for over a decade. So now you bring in a guy like Hernandez. You can mature him, and his talent will seem to take over. We've seen guys like Randy Moss turn into superstars, but things did not turn out, especially in the last few weeks. And, Andrew, it's just been nothing short of disappointing for New England and also for the tight end.
Yeah, it has been. It's really sad to see this happen to somebody who has so much talent. Am I echoing a little bit?
Nah, not really. No, we're good.
Okay. It was just something weird on my phone. I fixed it. Don't worry. Mm-hmm. Sorry for the audience. Just some technical issues as we're working out the new show. But, yeah, I was saying it's just so sad to see it happen to somebody with so much talent. I mean, he was living the life. He was guaranteed a $8-9 million contract extension last offseason. The owner, Robert Kraft, called him a first-class guy. And to see him just throw it all away like this, it's just really sad. And I don't want to speculate on the facts of the case yet before we, know the facts of the case, but I can almost assuredly say that nothing that transpired between him and Odin Lloyd was worth him murdering.
Yeah, see, it's a lot of alleged material here. A lot of, if this happened, we believe this happened. Police reports say that this might have in fact happened. We have a whole bunch of sketchy evidence right now. We still don't have it all sorted out, but one thing is for sure, Aaron Hernandez's very scratchy past really brings up this topic. It's one of those situations where I get all these, hey, look, I mean, I've seen it all over message boards, and obviously I can see where people are coming from when they bring up the fact that, in a sense, I feel bad about Aaron Hernandez. How could, he came up in a terrible household, and in some ways I give him credit for that. I mean, I'm sure his mom or dad would have, if you sat down with him, I'm sure they would say that from the start he was a good kid just like anybody else. But then when it turned into the teenage years for Hernandez, I believe that I believe the dad passed away in a similar situation. He started smoking marijuana after that fact. He started getting into legal troubles at the University of Florida, then back at New England as well. I believe it's just a man that changed his ways, and in some ways, I see where people are coming from when, hey, I feel bad, but it still does not give you any sort of right to go out murdering people. It's just the Patriots giving you a huge contract. All you have to do with a team with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick and all that terrific brass in New England, all you have to do is catch the football and don't shoot anybody. And obviously both of those situations went down hand in hand over the last month. We hope to have James McDaniels joining us in just a quick moment. Again, our phone number is 951-515-4552. And thank you guys for joining us here on NFL Goal Line Live. This Aaron Hernandez situation has been it's been the topic around the United States for the last few weeks. And before we bring James McDaniels on, any last thoughts, Andrew, on this situation and how it's been just taking New England apart? The great thing is for the Patriots, though, that the contract is terminated. They don't have to pay the extra money to the guaranteed money to have Aaron Hernandez arrested. They passed that in the NFL. And we have James McDaniels. He's been a part of the Cameron Sadeghi Show, also on national sports. He's also been the host of NBA and Soccer Power Halftime Hosts. And now joining us is James McDaniels. And James, your thoughts on the Aaron Hernandez situation. Do you believe that this is more New England mishandling the situation with the disgruntled tight end ever since his teenage years, or do you believe this falls on the shoulders of the Patriots tight end? Who's to blame here?
Well, I think Aaron Hernandez, it's really all, his fault. He's the one that, went out and, even did something to even, have this thing even put upon him. The fact that he's even convicted, or not convicted, but suspected of doing such a crime. I mean, if you go out there and you actually go out and murder somebody, I mean, that doesn't look well on you. That's all your choice, and I think you should probably be taught, that basic right or wrong situation. So I think it's all on Aaron Hernandez. I mean, I don't think the Patriots sort of had anything to really do with it, because the Patriots are there just as a team for you, basically, to, like you said, play as a tight end and then, make a paycheck go home. They don't, what you have in your mind and what your ideas reflect does not reflect on the team. And, you always see that in the disclaimers and stuff. So, in case here, it's on Hernandez. It was what he did. It does not have anything to do with the Patriots.
Now, we've seen guys like Des Bryant turn around their career, a very disgruntled player, similar past, and he turned it around and became a fantastic player with the Dallas Cowboys, still upcoming, a guy in his early prime. Meanwhile, we see a guy like Aaron Hernandez, similar situation, unable to figure it out. But have we seen the last of a guy, of these disgruntled players with so much of a sketchy history being a part of an NFL team?
That's one thing that you always see with background checks and stuff. There's always loopholes to go through, and so you really are not. And whenever a team, hires you or anything, I mean, they could go through intense background checks on you, but you could always be hiding something. And obviously, he wasn't just hiding anything. Maybe he was just, getting lucky that they weren't finding it about him. But in all honesty, it's just like, you have Aaron Hernandez, now a suspect of a murder, and it's like, how can you even think about doing something like that from behind that of the whatever you want to call it? It's going to be hard back and proven guilty for any time that he's been suspected of. It's going to be really hard for him to get back in the NFL, because his all the fans are really not going to appreciate, the fact that he got suspected of doing such a crime. He's not going to have a lot of support that he has before this. He's not going to have the trust of NFL. He's not going to have the trust of the. So, it's like I don't see him in this. I mean, if it were something else, another time, like, change. When you murder somebody, that's an act that you cannot take back. You can't bring back that person to life because of the enormous of the Chargers body will be very, very, very tough to fix this, even if you are innocent, because nobody's going to trust you.
Well, actually, I feel like it's pretty interesting that the Patriots are moving away from Hernandez so quickly, because when we saw Ray Lewis accused of murder back in 2000, the Ravens stuck with him and waited for the legal proceedings to run its course. You see the Cowboys sticking with Josh Brent now, even after his, I believe it's DUI and manslaughter case. And I feel like the Patriots wouldn't be moving away from Hernandez so quickly unless they knew something that we didn't. And do you guys think it's right for the Patriots to be cutting Hernandez already, even though they don't know for sure that he actually committed murder?
Oh, absolutely. There's just way too many. There's way too many extra issues outside. This isn't the first time he's been dealing with this sort of problem, and I believe James can agree. But
go ahead. I'm having a hard time. Understanding what your question was, but if your question is like, why are the Patriots moving away from Aaron Hernandez so quickly? And I talked about this on my radio show with Cameron the other day, and I asked him kind of a very similar question, and I have a opinion on this. And I think it's the fact that you can't put the Patriots because you just play what are doing. This is the team. So with that in mind, don't want it to look Aaron Hernandez because they to play ball for them was bad or a couple.
Oh, dang. We're sorry, guys. We just lost James McDaniels. He's had terrible reception since we got him on here. But he brought up the fact that Aaron Hernandez, obviously, with that sketchy pass, no need to have that presence in your locker room. But, Andrew, real quick on this topic, before we go to a commercial break here, does Hernandez have another shot in the NFL if, indeed, he's not in jail for longer than the next couple of years?
Well, I feel like there's a team that would give him a shot. Whether they should be giving him a shot is another debate, and it's a debate that I don't feel like we should be having until everything's settled. But as for will another team give him a shot, absolutely. Because if you strip away all the moral issues and just look at this from the dollars and cents, can this guy help the team kind of way, you're not going to find many tight ends out there that are better than Aaron Hernandez. Even after a couple of years in jail, he might not be signed in the initial free agency rush in March and April, but when you get into training camp and rosters start to thin out a little bit, and the team's still looking for a tight end, much like Michael Vick was signed in July and August, and you see Plaxico Burress being signed late in the year by the Jets back in 2011. I feel like you could see the same thing with Hernandez if he were to stay in jail for 3 years, 4 years. And obviously if he's acquitted, then he could be signed immediately.
On many situations to get on here on the NFL Goal Line Live, Aaron Hernandez recently just been accused of murder of a 27-year-old in his car, and also is facing criminal charges, 6 counts, 1 of murder and 5 of different assault rifle charges. We are getting rolling here on the NFL Goal Line Live. Nick Rice and Andrew Goldstein will be right back after this word from your Spreaker stations. We'll see you in 30 seconds. Stay tuned.
Yeah, Nick. Nick, you still there? Yeah.
Well, sorry guys, we did not actually go to commercial break. I have no clue where to go to commercial here, but we are getting going on NFL Goal Line Live. We're trying to figure things out here. But obviously the Aaron Hernandez situation, obviously a very heartbreaking moment here for the Patriots. How to deal with perhaps both of your tight ends not being on the field for week one. A terrible situation for New England going forward. A team already without Wes Welker, Brandon Lloyd, and Danny Woodhead. Their 5 top receiving threats all could be out week one when the New England Patriots step on the field. It's a terrible spot for the Patriots. And real quick before we're moving on here, Andrew, is there at all an issue with the Patriots in the AFC East with teams like the Dolphins making strides free agent-wise and picking up Deion Jordan in the draft? Or a team like Buffalo, similar situation, draft-wise, taking a reach on a big-time talent but some big-time question marks. Is a team like Miami or Buffalo looking at this situation here for the Patriots and thinking, hey, our defense isn't top-notch, our defense still has some portions missing, but when we play New England, we have a chance to match up very well, especially with our offense facing New England, one of the worst-ranked defenses in the league, and we can let it to our defense who, without Brady, the Patriots will have no chance of stopping. Do you believe that's at all a chance for the Patriots to be scratching their heads thinking, hey, the Dolphins with 9 or 10 wins might be able to win that division?
Well, before I answer the question, could you say our number one more time? Because I've got a friend texting me and saying he wants to call in.
Oh, well, it's a 951-515-4552.
Oh, thanks, Nick. And by the way, Brendan Albertson, that one's for you. Hope to be talking to you soon here on the NFL Goal Line Live. But as for your question, I don't feel like the Patriots are going to lose it this year because every year since Brady went down with his ACL injury in 2008, I thought this is the year that the Patriots are going to lose it. And every year they end up proving that the great ones always just make it work somehow. So until they lose Brady, until they lose Belichick, no, I don't believe they're going to lose their hold on the AFC East. But I feel like the Dolphins are a wild card threat this year. I feel like looking 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, the Dolphins could absolutely take over the AFC East, at least for a year or two, from the Patriots while everybody else rebuilds. But as for this season, I don't believe that the Patriots are under any significant threat from the Dolphins.
I'm just thinking the Patriots, their biggest receiving threat is Danny Amendola, a guy that could barely stay on the field. Julian Edelman, the second receiver there for the Patriots. If they don't have Rob Gronkowski, I'm thinking, is this offense even in the top half of the National Football League, even with Tom Brady at quarterback? We saw a team like Aaron Rodgers' Green Bay Packers, perhaps the most talented team, especially in that division, if not the conference, struggling their way to, I believe it was 9 or 10 wins, but that's with an elite defense. Now we look at the New England Patriots, we don't even know who they're putting at quarterback or cornerback, a DB over there outside of their top corner. Man, I'm drawing a blank on the name, but just throwing that out there.
And Nick, by any chance, do you remember the 2003 and 2004 Patriots, the ones that won the Super Bowl against the Panthers?
That's like 8 years ago, dude. When they still had some great players. I mean, we're talking about a defense that was formidable in that conference.
Here's the thing. Here's the point that I'm trying to make. Do you remember who their receivers were? Troy Brown, David Patton, a bunch of nobodies.
I get that, but their
Brady,
defense was good.
Up off the scrap heap. And their defense, the New England Patriots defense, is, while not great, more than adequate enough to win in today's NFL. Because the way things are going, the defense that stops people on first, second, third down and forces 3 and outs every single time, you don't need to have that anymore. What you need is a defense that forces turnovers. And over the last 5 years, the Patriots have consistently ranked in the top 10 in the league in forced turnovers and the top 5 in the league in turnover ratio. As long as they're forcing turnovers and not committing them on offense, then it doesn't matter how many yards their defense gives up, because it's not so much an offense-driven league as a league driven around big play, both on offense and on defense. And while the Patriots' secondary is abominable, it makes big plays.
Yeah, it makes big plays because the team is leading by 21 or more, and also that defense can rush the passer, similar to the Indianapolis Colts, a team that heading into this last year was looked at as a top-flight, talent-wise team in the AFC, but they really weren't. But the fact that they had Peyton Manning, they still had formidable guys. They still had Gonzalez, Reggie Wayne. They still had Akali. They had guys that were playmakers. Now, they have nothing. And if the defense rates in the top 10, I believe, solely on the fact that they had such a ginormous lead in many of those games. Now, scoring more than 28 points might be a challenge for the Patriots moving forward. Just look at the roster. Who's scoring touchdowns on this team? I don't believe anyone outside of perhaps Amendola if he's healthy.
It doesn't matter. Think about all the nobodies that Peyton Manning turned into stars, and think about what happened to them after he went away.
Can you name me one, though?
I can guarantee you that Collie wouldn't be anybody without Manning. I could guarantee you that Anthony Gonzalez wouldn't be nearly as good. Ricky Prohl, Manning made him. So I feel like as long as the Patriots keep their system in place and keep bringing in guys that are smart and know how to run the hurry-up offense, I feel like Brady can make it work no matter what happens. And let's not forget, the Patriots have a fantastic offensive line. And that's just a huge advantage when you're dealing with turmoil like this.
Absolutely. I'm just saying who's Ricky Prohl. But other than that, I mean, we'll have to wait and see.
Ricky Prohl, way back in the early 2000s. I played way too many hours of NFL 2K2 when I was 5 years old.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could say you made Ricky Prohl into a star, Manning did, but I don't believe that he was at all, looked at as even a somewhat good receiver. We'll wait and see what New England does, but without their top 5 receiving threats when they won 10 games last year, are they putting the same number this year? That's a difficult question to bring up. But our burning question...
Did you say that New England won 10 games last year?
How many did they win?
They won 12.
All right. Well, we're getting a little too technical right here. We still have Denver, who put up a great win total last year. We still had Houston, that was one of the top teams, really made a fight against the New England Patriots in one of the games. Other than that, it was just a complete train wreck for Houston against the Patriots. We still have teams that are very good in that division or that conference that can contend for the Patriots. We can go all day on this, but the burning question of the day, we were set to talk about this a long time ago, but we'll get to this on the latter portion of today's broadcast. By the way, thank you guys for joining us. There have been 3 arrests this week and 37 this calendar year. Looking that up on Bleacher Report. Make sure to go there and look at the latest around the National Football League. Can the NFL control this issue? Because it's becoming apparent, especially in the last month, about these recent arrests, that there has been a discipline issue or lack thereof around the NFL. Can the league control this issue, or is this are we looking too much into an off season where guys just want to play football? It's been months since we've seen any sort of action. Is this just the case of NFL players not used to so much time off, or is there another problem going around with these players?
I feel like this problem has always existed, but it's just getting more press now that a high-profile player's involved. I don't know if you remember back in 2007 when Sean Taylor was killed in a burglary gone wrong. And a little bit of a different scenario there. Obviously, the player's on the receiving end of crime and not actually executing the crime. But the NFL has always stressed safety and responsible decisions, probably more than anything else, at their rookie symposium every year, and I believe that was held just a week or two ago. But I read an article on NFL.com that scouts are devoting, quote, roughly 75% of their time to studying character and background issues. Now, for somebody that's going to be paid to either catch footballs or block for people who carry footballs or do myriad of things on the field, and the failure to do one of them can determine the difference between life or death as far as your career goes, to know that scouts researching a player to fill that role and spending 75% of their time researching things that have nothing to do with football, that are entirely related to their character, I feel like that speaks to how much of an issue this is, both for the NFL and any sport.
Yeah, the issue here is I believe that the scouts have a certain gray area where they cannot ask certain questions, especially my situation here is the quarterbacks. Now, obviously, with the QB being as important to an NFL franchise, let alone an offense, now there's increased importance on picking your quote-unquote franchise guy. And for these NFL scouts trying to look at future quarterbacks or future NFL players, shoot, any player can make a huge difference in just one season. Now, the scouts, there is a gray line here, as I mentioned. You can't ask certain questions within the home. You can't ask certain character issues in the past, as it'll bring up other big-time issues. But I'm paying you millions of dollars to take the head of my franchise. Now, I believe I need to ask those questions. I don't know why the NFL isn't allowing certain scouts to ask the tough questions. We're paying you a boatload of money, and you are putting our organization, you're putting our front office, you're putting the owners, you're putting everyone at risk by your play on the field. It's all based on how you produce on Sundays. So I believe that I do need to ask the tough question, and I do need to get inside the home of my future player, especially if I'm paying you the big bucks. I need to ask the big questions. I believe that's what's made the NFL gone wrong. These guys are first round, second round, big name players with big time contracts, yet these scouts were never able to ask the tough question and get inside the head of these NFL players. That's, in my mind, what has been the biggest issue so far in the last few years. What's brought up all this press and this extra coverage on guys that aren't exactly NFL ready in the head.
All right, I have two questions for you here. One, what tough questions aren't being asked that you think should be? And two, how do you know that they aren't being asked?
Well, it's been from guys that have been there and done that. I listened to ESPN's The Herd with Colin Cowherd, and he is familiar with the league office and with different, and he's brought on guys such as it's the executive. He was talking about Adam Pac-Man Jones. He's been the executive vice president of the league office, where they bring on the new rules every year. There's been countless interviews of guys that talk about the scouting process, and there is a gray area, and I believe that there's just not enough questions being asked. I mean, shoot, how do you not know that Aaron Hernandez was going to turn into the man he has in such a short time? If there's somebody in the head that thinks it's okay to go out and shoot someone, I believe there are questions here that aren't being asked.
Hold on. Give me one example of a question that Aaron Hernandez should have been asked when he was being recruited.
Well, that's
you believe wasn't asked.
Well, that's. I mean, there are a variety of questions. We can go all day on that. The point is that the scouts aren't allowed, or at least they're not doing a good enough job. I believe that professionals would do somewhat of a decent job asking tough questions. But we're not here to speculate what the questions should be asked. We're just looking at, hey, should the NFL take a different approach, or do you believe that we should continue to allow 37 arrests in a half year? I mean, that's 3% of the league right there. what are we doing here? And it has the NFL not taken a strong enough approach here? That's the question. And I mean, it's up for debate, but right now it's been a pressing issue.
It really has been. So I'm kind of a little bit wary of accusing the league of not letting scouts ask questions about players' backgrounds, just because, once again, I'm not necessarily going to buy into that until I see some sources with authority say that. But if that is true, and the league doesn't allow scouts to ask certain questions, then yes, that needs to be changed. But like I said, I really don't know if that's true or not. Can you direct me to a source that says the league forbids scouts from asking questions about players' backgrounds?
We'll figure something out, but obviously it's just been a pressing issue. We're wrapping up here on the NFL Goal Line Live. By the way, we can go on and on about Aaron Hernandez. I'm sure you guys in the audience have heard enough about Hernandez and the Patriots situation here. But we're wrapping up here on the NFL Goal Line Live. Sorry, we've had some technical issues throughout the night, but we'll make sure to bring you a quality broadcast next week. We're looking for later on this week to also be a part of the Spreaker.com website. Just make sure to follow us on National Sports Live and also on Facebook. You can follow Nick Rice or Andrew Goldstein as well. We're wrapping up here on NFL Goal Line Live. Last thoughts, Andrew, on another week without any football. We're still a good 10 weeks away before teams take the field.
It sucks. And when you get in the period in late July and early August, and this happens to me every year, and I swear that we're going to do it too, that first week or two of preseason, you're just so excited that football's back, and you're just completely oblivious to the fact that preseason doesn't matter, that I guarantee you we're just going to overanalyze everything that players do.
And does anyone remember what happened week 1 of the preseason last year? I mean...
Week 1 of the preseason, let's see, Russell Wilson's first start, well, not first start, but first playing time, he looked very impressive. The Seahawks gave him the starting job after week 4. Let's see, week 1, I'm trying to remember what the Hall of Fame game was. I remember actually watching it, like, the whole thing. But I don't quite remember what happened week 1, but I do remember that for a week or two after, I missed football so much that that's all I could talk about. And I feel like it'll be the same way this year. Nick, does that happen to you? Do you overanalyze preseason?
Well, no. I don't know where you find the time to do this, but hey, we're all excited for the NFL to come back. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Some more than others. Andrew,
I'm just so excited to see football played on a television screen again that I don't know. I just can't help diving into it, even when I probably shouldn't be.
I'm sure you are. Well, let's dive into some quick NFL training camp dates before we wrap up here. We promised you to bring you all the dates around the National Football League. Between July 17th and July 27th, we will see all 32 teams take the field for training camp. Obviously, this leads to a 2-week it's a 2-week-long process before the first preseason game for these teams. And following that, it's a...
First training camp, by the way, July 17th, when the Tampa Bay rookies take the field.
Absolutely. And then rookies up until the day the veterans come. Some teams happen to have the veterans rookies come in the same day. Last team that's going to come in is July 26th, the New York Giants. And anywhere between there is a variety of other teams. July 27th, the veterans come in Buffalo. The NFL champions reigning a Super Bowl reigning Super Bowl team, the Baltimore Ravens, they come in July 21st as the rookies do, and then July 24th, the veterans. Meanwhile, the New England Patriots, another team we talked about today, July 21st for those rookies, and then July 25th for the veterans. The full training camp schedule is on NFL.com. Look under Around the League with Dan Hanzus, and you'll get all the training camp updates around the National Football League. Andrew Goldstein and Nick Rice live on NFL Goal Line. Thank you guys for joining us. Last thoughts, Andrew.
Before we go, just a really quick little inside bit for anybody planning on visiting Jets training camp in Cortland, New York this year. After camp concludes for the day, there's a local restaurant named Doug's Fish Fry. That's where all the Jets usually go after their training camp concludes for the day. So if you go there after practice, you might get to meet a couple of Jets.
Wow, that's a great deal, and obviously it doesn't really take that much just to head over to training camp. Thank you guys for joining us. It's been another edition of the NFL Goal Line Live. We promise you that we have a greater show on tap for next week. Make sure to stay tuned on national sports on Spreaker.com. Catch us on Facebook, and we'll be quickly on Twitter and other sources as well. Thank you guys for joining us. A great show is on tap for next week, but until then, so long. We have buy and sell around the National Football League and much more burning up-to-date news around the NFL. Next, make sure to stay tuned. So long, everyone. Nick Rice and Andrew Goldstein signing off on Spreaker.com.